Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I am Abe with Mystic Gen Mara, a small town mystic from the middle of Idaho. And today I would like to offer the air elemental reading for the month of June. And air covers the energy of Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. I'm going a little out of order this week. Mainly my guidance was to go fire air, so that's what we're doing. I read intuitively, so the information that comes through may not be exactly what the card's original meaning was. And I read week by week, and for June there are 4.5 weeks, so we'll just go ahead and do a 5-week reading. I read a guide or guardian for each week, a message from source, and then a lesson or a challenge from the tarot. And if you're interested in any of the cards that I have that I'm using, they're linked in the description below. If you enjoy this type of content, please like, subscribe, comment. As long as we're respectful, that's all I look for, even in criticism. Constructive criticism is a good thing. So, with that, we'll get started here for Air of 2023 June. It's the Golden Solar Dragon for the first week. Helps you stand in your masculine power and wisdom. Let your DNA be reprogrammed and light codes activated. Become an inspired leader. So this dragon is going to encourage you this first week of June to go out in the sun a little bit more than normal. I know in my area in particular, we're having a weird sun in the morning, thunderstorms and rain in the afternoon, but it's still an encouragement to go outside and get into that sun. And working with the solar dragon energy, you're working with energy that is very masculine, very projective, and there's been some, negative comments about masculinity, but the reality is if a masculine person, a masculine man is standing in his power, the negative aspects, those are the toxic traits. That's the bad stuff. That's weak masculinity. Strong masculinity, that's not what it is. And the Golden Solar Dragon is coming in to say, listen, protective is a huge part of it. Being able to stand in their power is a huge part of it. Being very projective, sometimes it comes across as aggressive. That's a misinterpretation on your part, just like opinions. They don't actually hurt other people, it's just an opinion. So, but that's the energy that's coming forward with this Golden Solar Dragon, is maybe understanding a little bit deeper what actual masculine energy is by being out in the sun, by tapping into the golden solar energy so that you can understand and see it more clearly. And it might help awaken it within you as well, because we all need the balance in our lives. Too much femininity or too much masculinity is always a bad thing. There's a balance that comes into play. Your message from Source is the Crystal Skull Wisdom, clarity, divine healing, and high vibrational energy. When you're working with solar energy, you're working with a very high energy frequency. You're also dealing with a can be intensive energy, and that energy that's coming through is going to show you clarity, but it's also going to show you historical information, and it's going to tap you into what exactly it is that you need out of life. So you have the Golden Solar Dragon that's coming in, showing you more ways to be in balance, more ways to upgrade your energetic field. And you have the Crystal Skull Wisdom coming in saying, let's integrate that. You're getting this information from the sun, you're working with the Golden Solar Dragon. Now let's bring this energy into a clarified state and help you assimilate it more into your being. So this first week is really about understanding more about the world around you, how the energy affects you internally. You're also working with solar energy, which uplifts your DNA structure, and you're seeking some clarity is what they're saying. Now, your lesson or challenge from the tarot is the King of Wands. Wands are fire energy, so this is coming to the end of a cycle, and there's almost like an arrogance that comes here that you have to work to understand better, because you have this. The feminine aspect is pleading with you to understand more about who you are, and then you have this other side that's almost too arrogant, like, oh, I don't need this information, I don't need to hear this, I got this. No, you don't. Because this card's saying, air, yes, you intellectually you are there, but emotionally and spiritually, ego's in the way. So what the challenge or the lesson is can you be honest with yourself about the aspects that may need that balance of the masculine energy, may need some clarity so that you can understand more of who you are? And so your lesson or your challenge is, how can you take the help from the golden solar dragon and working with the clarity from the crystal skull to find yourself a better balance point? And that might mean you have to upend some of the things that you thought you knew, because that is unfortunately a common occurrence in the spiritual path. Is, I know this and without question 6 years later. Okay, so I didn't know that so well. And that is, like I said, a pretty common thing in the spiritual community. I know my points have shifted a lot over the 20 years I've been doing this. Your second week guide or guardian is the Lilac Fire Dragon. Transmutes through the power of divine love. Open up transcendent love and enlightenment. Purity of heart brings peace, hope, and joy. When you work with the violet, the lilac, the purple flames of any form, you are working with transmuting a lower negative energy into a higher frequency. Since it is spring and the lilacs are in bloom, this is a good time to really maybe go sit next to one of those trees, sit under one if it's tall enough, and allow yourself to breathe in the air, the fragrance, the beauty of the lilac tree. Allow yourself to see how you can transmute. The first week you were looking for clarity. There was some new information coming in. Some new viewpoints were being shifted, and the second week is, now that you're starting to see that pattern, you're starting to see that information, it's transmutation time. You're bringing in these new concepts, you're uplifting and elevating, you're changing the lower into the higher frequencies. So the second week is looking like it's going to be a little bit of a healing week, and this type of healing, when we're talking transcendence, can involve some heat. So things can be a little bit, or transmutation, can be a little bit rough. Understand that this is a process, and be gentle with yourself as you're going through this, because just because you have an emotion doesn't mean it's bad. Your message from Source is Star Being Healing Codes. Important information, wounds are healed, and recharging. So this message from Source for the second week is, the first week was really about peeling off the Band-Aid and exposing kind of where there's an emotional or spiritual imbalance. You can call it a wound if you like, but I use the term imbalance. And your challenge that first week was to really see that, set your ego aside and be like, okay, so I do have these little flaws here I need to work on. The second week is, how can we fix those flaws? You're working with the Lilac Fire Dragon, who's going to help you transmute the negative into the positive, bringing these parts together to fuse it into a more perfected, more beautiful whole. And you have Star Being Healing Codes. So if you've worked with your Galactic Council, your Galactic Guides before, and if then go talk to them and see what codes they're bringing in. If you haven't, just be aware that you do have dragon guides, angel guides, other spirit guides, families, ancestors, but you also have celestial guides, which are your stellar guides, the Syrians, the Arcturians, the Palladians, etc. There's a whole pile of them out there. And your celestial family is going to be helping you integrate into this healing process by offering healing codes, which can come as dreams, can come as just random tunes you'll catch yourself humming that you've never heard before. Sometimes it'll be a ringing in your ear that just pops up and goes away real quick. It's things like that, or getting caught in daydreaming. That's another really big way when they start to drop in information where you're just kind of like zoned out. You're kind of zoned out, but you're also bringing stuff in, and you may not be consciously aware of it. This type of energy, when you're working transmuting and bringing in a balancing energy, sometimes is almost entirely behind the scenes and then steps forward once it's been completed. So let's look at your lesson or challenge. It is number 20, Judgment. So again, going along with the first week, it was about setting your ego aside, understanding that that's not always a good thing. The second week is the Judgment card. So your lesson or your challenge is, how can you not fall prey to the aspects of judgment where you, man, I should have done better, this is a horrible thing, or that person, they didn't do me right. How can you step back from that and look at it from a situation of compassion? Yes, I didn't do as good, but I can continue to work to improve. You know what? That person might be going through some stuff. It may have been unintentional what they did. Let me look at this from a position of compassion. So when you work with judgment, it can be very harsh or it can be very gentle. And what the message that's coming forward with the energy for you, air signs, is that it is really about setting into, as your growth and your shifting and your changing, applying compassion to yourself, being gentle with yourself as you're growing, and then applying that also outwardly. Because if you can apply it to both, that's a very good thing. Judging others harshly but trying to judge yourself gently will never work. You're going to judge yourself harder than the other person. So finding that ability to be to look at it from the state of judiciary neutrality, where you look at the situation, good, bad, indifferent, and try to find a way to work around it with compassion. That doesn't mean to love everybody, but even the Bible says love your enemies. That doesn't mean you have to bring them home. You can love them over there because you don't want to put yourself in a dangerous situation, but at the same time carrying too much judgment, too much hate with you actually affects you, not the other person. So let's look at your third week. We have the Rainbow Dragon, brings leaps of joy that open doors. Have trust, rediscover wisdom, expect miracles, and accept opportunities. So the second week was about healing and integrating and transmuting. And after you go through a period of growth, there's a little bit of a like a muscle release. And so the second week was a little bit more intense. You're working on some stuff, you're integrating, you're transmuting. A lot of it was going on behind the scenes. This week, you're going to be able to integrate that into the outward world, which is bringing you into the more positive state. The Rainbow Dragon is the combination of all colors and the ability to share all colors. And so the second week, you were bringing all that information in and you were integrating it, and now you can show that. And now it's going to come out as a positive field of energy around you. And the Rainbow Dragon is saying, you have a really good life, no matter what's going on. And it could be something horrendous or it could be something great, but you're still here. You still have choices. You still have the ability to change things, even if it's only little things, which means you have a lot to be joyful about and a lot to share with others. Your story could actually help somebody else out in their trials and their troubles. And so that's what the message is coming from the Rainbow Dragons. And they're also saying this third week, really be paying attention to the rainbows. I'm not sure what that all means, but pay attention because that's when the Rainbow Dragon is really coming forward for you. So really watch for the rainbows this third week. Your message from Source, is Palladian activation, coming together, harmony in the heavens, and resolution. So as you've healed and worked with the light, your galactic team in the second week, integrating this information and this energy, this third week, you're bringing in the Rainbow Dragon. The Palladians are coming forward to help you find that happiness, to help you find that peace. The message from Source is really saying, even though you've went through a lot lately, you've done some healing work, you've had to do some integration work, maybe even shatter some previously held beliefs that weren't quite accurate, so you needed to tweak them a little bit. This third week, the Palladians are saying it's still a good life. It's really about finding that joy, finding that ability to see and feel that joy, that happiness, and that peace is what their message is. They want you to understand as well that in this integration period, in these growth periods, even though things might feel a little bit rough, your worldview might be getting shaken up a little bit, it gives you the ability to feel gratitude for how far you've come, where you're at, and where you're going. So if having that gratitude in that aspect, they say, makes these transition periods a lot easier. Does not mean that they will be easier. It makes them feel easier. So that's kind of the message that they're bringing forward. Your lesson or challenge from the tarot is the Magician. So they're saying that this isn't a challenge so much as it is a lesson. You have the tools. Are you using them? You have tools for growth. You have tools for awakening. You air signs want to be more logical in things. So you have cups, wands, blades, and pentacles, or coins, earth. You have all the elements available to you, earth, air, fire, and water. You have all of this information that you have gleaned over the years. You have new information coming in. You have new information integrating. The tools are there. It's up to you to pick them up and use them. Just because they're sitting in your shop doesn't mean that they're going to fix the car. That's your part. The tools are sitting there. They're waiting for you. And the message or the lesson from the tarot is really saying, you have the tools, just use them. That's really what all it is. So let's look at the 4th week guide or guardian. You have the golden Christed dragon. It brings higher love so that you can embody Christ light. Absorb the Christ light. You are protected. Expand your heart and remain 5th dimensional. 5th dimensional is an energy plane of existence. It does not mean that you're going to shift physically. That comes in the density shifts according to Ra. But 5th dimensional energy is a shifting from the everyday mundane work, school, groceries, chores, home. The 5th dimensional energy is energy, 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 energy. You're shifting your viewpoint from a physical to a spiritual stance that allows that compassion. It allows you to use the tools that you have at your disposal. And the golden Christed dragon is saying, with the Christ energy, Christ is a title. It means enlightened one, loosely, I'm not direct translations here, but it means enlightened one, someone who has learned, who has moved beyond the physical. So it's kind of the concept of an avatar as well. So you've got this dragon that's coming through with golden, and gold again runs towards the more masculine. So you've got this more masculine energy coming forward, working with you, helping you understand what it means to step into that higher frequency, what it means to be an enlightened being. And it allows you to elevate outside of the everyday mundane, because that's 3rd dimensional. We all have to deal with it, but it doesn't mean you have to stay there. And so you're working to elevate and work into this higher frequency. And the golden Christed dragon is going to help you understand how to step into that avatar state, into that Christed state, where you can see things differently. Your compassion is a lot stronger. Your judgment goes towards the more neutral and how can you fix a problem, not just to see the problem. And you're finding those positions of joy. Your message from source is angelic frequencies. Angels are here. You are safe, and a potent connection. So you're working with this Christed energy, and the angels are saying, let us help you as well. You have dragon energy coming forward, and in this 4th week, you have a lot of angels. Your personal guardian angel, your recording angel, even Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, Raphael, the whole choirs upon choirs of angels are coming forward. They're also saying, if you haven't worked with Archangel Metatron specifically, because he works with this energy of ascension, and that works with the concept of Christ consciousness. So you're working with this 4th week energy is really focusing on your spiritual growth, your spiritual enlightenment, and this ability to step beyond where you've been for a while. So you kind of plateaued, and now it's time to start moving forward again. And that's what this month is really about, is how can you elevate out of that plateaued state. So your lesson or challenge is the Knight of Chalices. So you have some emotions that are coming forward, and they may feel a little bit intense because you're all, the horse is running, your emotions are running a little bit wild. Because as you're working through and you're elevating from 3rd to 5th, there's an aspect of your ego that's like, oh heck no, we are staying here. What are you doing? That's new, that's mysterious. We don't understand that. We understand the stress here. That's bad. So you've got this energy, this emotional knee-jerk reaction, basically, as you are allowing yourself to work on the spiritual and move up the chain. You have this aspect of your ego that is grabbing on with your emotions, pulling you back, saying, no, have fear, don't do that, that's scary. Moving forward is bad. So your challenge is really about quieting the ego, telling it to go play with some blocks away from me, because you can't actually get rid of your ego. Your ego is a tool, and it's a matter of learning to use the tool, not be used by the tool. So that's the message that's coming forward for the 4th week. Let's look at the last week of June. And we have Earth Dragon clears your path and the land around you. Stay grounded, be ready to serve. Stuck energy is clearing and moving forward in life. So this is a continuation again of the 4th week where you are stepping into and trying to hold a higher frequency spiritually. The Earth Dragon is coming in saying you're stepping up, anchor it, ground this point in, so that becomes your new starting point, your new plateau area. And that's what the Earth Dragon's energy is coming forward to help you do. You've stepped up, you've moved, you've learned, you've educated, you're really starting to understand more about this higher frequency and seeing things from a spiritual perspective. And now the Earth Dragon is going to help you stabilize into that area so you don't pop up, fall back, pop up, fall back. The Earth Dragon can help you hold here, so you might slip back, but you'll have an easier time of coming back to that higher anchor point. So let's see what the message from Source is. And the Earth Dragon, even though it's your opposite air energy, is still going to help you with this, because sometimes getting too much into your head is going to not be a good thing, and the Earth can help ground you back into your body as well. So let's look at the message from Source. It is the Akashic Stargate, aligned with purpose, crossroads, and no wrong path. So this card is really just an encouragement. As you're anchoring into that higher frequency, you are stepping into unlimited options. Because in our day-to-day life, we tend to look at things from, we have option A, we have option B. Which one do you take? And normally we lean towards the lesser of two evils, because we don't see that there's actually good, not just the lesser of two evils. We have some good stuff over here too. And I'm waving to my right. And so the Akashic Stargate is saying when you elevate yourself and you bring yourself to this higher frequency and your anchor point is at a higher energy, you start to see that it's not just two options. You have unlimited options. That's when you start tapping into that creative concept of, what do I want to do? Working with your own life, expanding into something different. I'll use myself as an example. I am working a day job. I am working on my business. My business is my passion. This is what I want to do. This is something that drives me in my deepest part of who I am, is I want to be able to share this spiritual knowledge that I've gained and help you understand how you can achieve it, move forward with it, even if it's just something as simple as a support. And that's what my goal is. And so when you reach that point where you're tapping into those higher frequencies, you see how you can work with the two different energies. Yeah, I still have the day job, but this is my passion. This is where I want to put my energy. So yes, I do my job over here, but then I do my creation over here. And eventually your creation and your day job are going to become the same thing in most cases. Not always, because it might be that you choose to keep them separate, and that's fine. Eventually, I personally want to move away from day job and only do the spiritual stuff. So, but everyone's a little bit different in that. So that's the encouragement of that major crossroads. It's not just two roads. You're looking basically out at unlimited options at this point. Once you elevate to that fifth dimensional energy, you start to anchor that as your set point. You start to see that there's a lot more available than what you originally thought, because you're no longer being restricted by third dimensional frequencies of choice A, choice B, which is the lesser of the two evils. You'll leave that one alone, or lesser of two evils, you want to leave the worst evil alone, go to the lesser. When you step into the higher frequency, you're like, those are the two that I was looking at. What was wrong with me? Look at all these other options out here. So you get to a different viewpoint. Your lesson or challenge from the tarot is the Two of Chalices. So as you're elevating, they're saying that sometimes the people that you've been working with, sometimes it's someone you're partnered with, may not be as happy about your growth as you are. And the Two of Chalices is saying, even though you may have some hiccups, stand in your position, connect into Source, and allow them to see how your life has changed for the better, and energetically put your hand out and be like, come with me, please, because you really want to keep that person with you even if they're not there. So offering to bring them along keeps those lines of communication open. And whether it's friendships, a romantic partnership, and that's pretty much the only two they're talking about, putting the hand out to be like, do you want to come with me? I would like to have, I'd like to have you on the journey type of a thing, but it's an energetic thing. It's not like physical. It might be physical, or you put your hand out and say, help me, or come along with me, but it could be just a spiritual aspect as well. But that's going to be the challenge or the lesson this week, this 5th week, is your relationships could be a little bit interesting during this growth period, but stay open-minded, stay connected, keep reaching out to them as far as the spirit, even on an astral plane, because even in soul to soul, you can communicate actually a lot clearer that way, and sometimes you can find out what's going on behind the scenes, because that person might be saying that from fear. And when you talk to their higher self, their soul, they're like, no, I'm not really sure what's going on, but we're gonna go with you, whether they'll figure it out. And so you have this different energy going on, but it's not a discouragement, it's just saying, heads up, this can happen. So hopefully this reading resonated for you, air signs. Like I said, it's a little bit out of order, but we'll figure that out later. And I hope you guys have an awesome month of June. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, leave any comments or criticisms as long as they're respectful. That's all I ask for. And if you enjoy this type of stuff, just subscribe, and I will talk to you in a future video. Have an awesome month.